HOA claimed I was littering, but it was medical gear for disabled veterans. Could you ever imagine a simple act of charity spiraling into a public shaming? That's exactly what happened to me last spring in Oak Ridge Park, a quiet suburban green space where families picnic and kids chase frisbees. I'm Lena, a 32-year-old nurse and volunteer coordinator for Vet Care, a nonprofit that donates medical supplies to disabled veterans. That sunny Saturday, I was overseeing a donation drive: crutches, braces, wound care kit, stuff that changes lives. We had tables set up, signs posted, and a small crowd of grateful recipients. Everything was going smoothly until Karen stormed in. Karen, the HOA president, was a legend in our neighborhood, and not the good kind. She was in her late 50s, always dressed in crisp blazers, her blonde bob swaying as she lectured anyone who dared park an inch over the line. That day, she marched straight to my table, her heels clicking like a countdown to chaos. "This is littering," she barked, pointing at a box of bandages. "You're trashing our park with this junk." Her voice carried, and heads turned. I was stunned. Littering. These were sterile medical supplies, neatly packed, for veterans who'd sacrificed everything. I tried to explain, but Karen cut me off. "I'm calling the police," she snapped, pulling out her phone. The crowd murmured, and I felt my face burn with humiliation. Before I could respond, Karen escalated. She grabbed a box of braces and dumped it onto the grass, shouting, "See? Garbage." Crutches clattered, and a wheelchair cushion rolled into the dirt. Volunteers froze, and a veteran in a baseball cap, leaning on a cane, looked gut-punched. My heart raced. This wasn't just about might, it was an attack on everyone we were helping. I stepped forward, voice shaking. "Karen, these are for disabled veterans. Please stop." But she doubled down, yelling about park regulations and unauthorized events. I'd had enough. I pulled out our permit approved by the city and held it up. "We're legal," I said firmly. Her eyes narrowed, but she didn't back off. Instead, she stormed off, vowing to handle this. The truth started unraveling later that day. I learned from a volunteer, Mike, a retired cop who'd moved to Oak Ridge recently, that Karen had a history of bullying residents. "She's obsessed with control," he whispered. "Last year, she fined a family for planting daisies in their yard, called it unapproved landscaping. Mike had dug deeper and found Karen's HOA board had been skimming funds meant for park maintenance. Our event, with its public attention, threatened her image as the neighborhood's flawless gatekeeper. That's when I realized this wasn't about littering. It was personal. Karen saw our drive as a spotlight on her shaky authority. Mike's revelation was a twist I hadn't seen coming, but it fueled my resolve. We weren't just defending our event, we were exposing a bigger lie. Monday morning, the confrontation peaked. Karen had rallied a small group of HOA loyalists, and they showed up at the park with signs, "Keep Oak Ridge clean," and "No illegal dumping." Felt like a punch to the gut. Our volunteers were setting up again, undeterred, but the tension was thick. A local news van rolled in. Someone had tipped them off. Karen, smelling drama, strutted to the cameras, spinning her tale of irresponsible littering. But she didn't expect what came next. Mike, calm as ever, stepped up with a folder of documents. Emails, receipts, proof of the HOA's mismanagement. He handed them to the reporter, who skimmed them and raised an eyebrow. The crowd grew quiet as Mike spoke. This park's budget was gutted by the HOA, yet they're blaming Lena for trash? That's rich. Karen's face went white. She stammered, trying to deflect, but the reporter pressed her. "Ma'am, can you explain these financial discrepancies?" She couldn't. The crowd shifted, whispers turning to murmurs of outrage. Then, In a moment I'll never forget, the veteran from Saturday, whose name was Tom, hobbled forward. He held up a crutch from our donation pile. "This junk lets me walk to my grandson's games," he said, voice cracking. "You call that litter?" The park fell silent. Even Karen's loyalists looked uneasy. She opened her mouth, but no words came. The cameras caught it all. Her downfall was swift. By that evening, the news story aired, titled, "HOA President's Smear Campaign Backfires." Social media exploded. Neighbors posted about Karen's past overreaches, fining kids for chalk drawings, banning community barbecues. The HOA board called an emergency meeting, and Karen was ousted as president. She tried to save face, posting a half-hearted apology on the neighborhood app, but it was too late. The damage was done. Our donation drive tripled in size the next weekend. Veterans came from neighboring towns, and strangers dropped off supplies, moved by Tom's words. The park, once Karen's stage, became a symbol of community resilience. But the real victory wasn't just Karen's defeat. It was what came after. We started a new volunteer group, Park Pals, to maintain Oak Ridge and host inclusive events. Tom became our unofficial mascot, cracking jokes and handing out stickers to kids. The HOA, under new leadership, even donated to vet care. I'd be lying if I said it was all smooth. Some neighbors still grumbled about outsiders at our drives, but most saw the truth. Kindness outshines control. Looking back, I'm grateful for that awful Saturday. It showed me how one spark of courage can light up a whole community. So what do you think? Was Karen just misguided? Or did her actions cross a line? Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear how you'd handle a clash like this. Let's keep the conversation going.